Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
Hey, it's our literature unit, and we're talking about a cool book called Nerve, A Game of Dares and Danger. You know, when I first read the plot, Tom, I thought, yeah, this really has something to do with today's society. I think this is a really good book, especially for young adults. It should be at a difficult level, a difficulty level that's not too bad for people out there, and I think you'd find it really interesting. After reading the plot, I have to confess, I want to go and see if I can get this book so I can find out what happens at the end.
We're not going to tell you.
No, usually we give away the ending, which I really dislike, but on this particular book and program, we're not going to tell you how it ends, which is kind of fun. You should never tell someone the end of the movie or the book. It kind of spoils everything for you. Don't spoil the ending is what we say. If you're online, sometimes you'll see things that say spoiler alert. Spoiler alert just means if you don't want to find out the who won the competition or who won the reality show or who dies at the end of this particular show, don't read. So a spoiler alert would tell you that we're going to tell you the ending. Don't listen if you don't want to know. But in this particular unit, in Unit 15 on our literature, we're not telling you. We don't even know. I'd like to find out, though.
I'd like to find out, too, but what I'd like to find out more is about the author herself and about the novel and some themes and ideas in this novel and why we think you should read it. So let's listen to today's lesson now one time.
Jeannie Ryan's young adult novel, Nerve, takes readers into the thrilling world of an online reality game where players risk everything for fame and prizes. Ryan drew inspiration from reality TV shows, which are known for their extreme challenges. Fascinated by the influence of fame on people's actions, she created a story that explores how far individuals might be pushed and manipulated in extreme situations. Through this narrative, Ryan aims to provoke discussion among readers. The main theme of Nerve is the influence of peer pressure and the consequences of our choices. V, the protagonist, initially takes on challenges to gain peer approval and pushes herself beyond her comfort zone. Her quest to stand out compels her to accept risks she would have otherwise avoided. As the game progresses, V's motivation shifts toward the rewards offered. She's even willing to sacrifice her moral values and safety for the sake of social recognition and popularity. This storyline warns readers against the extreme pursuit of fame and questions the worth of such sacrifices. Nerve also explores the dark side of technology and social media. As V faces challenges through the app, she realizes that the prizes are tailored to her preferences revealed through her social media posts. Moreover, the constant presence of spectators throughout the challenges highlights the loss of privacy. Ryan's narrative serves as a warning about the risks inherent in the digital age. Through these themes, Nerve offers a thought-provoking look at modern society. It urges readers to ponder whether true courage is shown by daring acts or by resisting wrongdoing under the gaze of a global audience.
Okay, everybody, it's time to talk about the contents of today's lesson. The author is Jeannie Ryan. Okay, I had to look this up. That's kind of an unusual spelling. Usually Jeannie is spelled Jeanie or something like that, but this is an unusual spelling. Nowadays, people have different spellings for their names. Like Tsai Yiling, for example, when I saw her English name, I thought it was Jolin, but I later was corrected. No, it's Jolene. You can't say Jolin, but that's how it's spelled. It looks like Jolin, but no, she pronounces it differently. And this happens a lot of times with people's names. So you have to basically ask them how they pronounce their name if it's something unusual.
Yeah, never feel embarrassed about asking someone how they pronounce their name. A lot of us have no idea how they pronounce their names, and it's in English, but everybody wants to be special. They want their own name. They want their own spelling. Sometimes they're making up new names we've never seen before. I would not have known that's how Tsai Ing-wen pronounces her English name ever.
Oh, you didn't know, huh?
No, it doesn't look like Jolene at all. So always ask people because they like to talk about their names and themselves. So that's always a nice thing. We're going to dive into this, though, today. We're going to focus on some of the themes of this particular novel. We talked about the plot on day one, but now we're talking about some of the things. What did Jeannie Ryan want young readers to learn or to think about or to really ponder through reading her novel, which is really an interesting one, I think.
Right, and here in the first sentence it says, Jeannie Ryan's young adult novel Nerve takes readers into the thrilling world of an online reality game where players risk everything for fame and prizes. Okay, so this is something that a lot of people could relate to. Most of us spend about 4 or 5 hours online at least, playing with our phones, and sometimes we play games. This kind of reminds me of, was it Pokemon Go or whatever? Well, you have to go to different locations to find a different Pokemon or whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of interactive. It's kind of an online reality game. So yes, that's what this is. It's online, but it's actually a reality game. People are actually participating on site or online. And of course, they have to take risks here for fame and prizes. Like V, of course, poured water over her head in a crowded coffee shop. And something else happened. She and her partner Ian had to pretend they were sex workers to cause public disturbance.
Right. And here it says they risk everything by participating in this particular game, which is insane. And why do they do it? They do it for fame and prizes. A lot of people are willing to do anything for fame and fortune is what we usually say. People who go to Hollywood, they're willing to do whatever they must to attain or achieve fame and fortune. And a lot of people will go there and realize they have to sell themselves out to actually get that fame and fortune, and they turn away and they decide it's not worth it. So this is kind of one of those questions. What are you willing to do for fame and prizes? Are you willing to be immoral? Are you willing to turn against your best friends? Are you willing to humiliate yourself online? These are all really good questions. It says Ryan, Jeannie, drew inspiration or got her ideas from reality TV shows, which are really popular in America. I think they're silly and I don't waste time watching them. I think they're ridiculous. They're also kind of scripted. They make it look like it's all, spontaneous. Oh, and it's just there's no script. But the way they edit everything, they have a motive and a purpose behind everything. So I just think they're silly shows. But a lot of people like them. And these reality shows that she drew inspiration from are known for their extreme challenges.
Yeah, they have to make it interesting. You can't just watch people going to the bathroom and eating a meal and going to work or whatever. So they have to have these challenges in them. I dare you to do this. And fascinated by the influence of fame on people's actions, she created a story that explores how far individuals might be pushed and manipulated in extreme situations. So she thought that was kind of cool. Yes, people will do all sorts of things to get attention. All these things influence how they want to seek fame. They accept these challenges. They accept these dares in order to become popular. So she thought, I'm going to actually create a story that's kind of based on that. It will explore how far a person or an individual could be pushed and manipulated or used by other people in extreme situations. Yeah, she's kind of taking this one step further and wondering what could happen if you take those challenges to the extreme.
Yeah, I think it's similar to discovering what people will do in a group as opposed to by themselves. There's a concept called mob violence, M-O-B violence. People will do things to others and hurt others that they would never do if they were alone or maybe with a couple people. But when you get a lot of people together, it's like everybody stops thinking and they become sort of monsters, So this is where she's getting a lot of these ideas from. If you push people, you get them to do things they wouldn't normally do, And if you manipulate people, it means you are doing something, you're controlling them and influencing someone to do something they normally wouldn't. And also you're doing it in a very clever, a very unfair way, a way that seems wrong to most people if they're thinking in an ethical way or a moral way.
Yeah, you're manipulating me. You're using me. That's immoral. You need to feel ashamed of yourself. Manipulate could also mean you operate certain kinds of machinery, like there's a construction project going on next to our house. So sometimes I stand there and watch the crane operator, the guai show. I'm not sure what that thing's called in English, but I watch him manipulate the controls. He's pulling this lever and pushing that one to get the claw to pick up dirt and move it to another location. He's manipulating the machine. But in this particular case, though, we're talking about people using other people probably in an immoral way. Now, through this narrative, Ryan aims to provoke discussion among readers. And yes, that's a good idea because people are kind of addicted to the internet and they get involved with games like this. Maybe this sort of reminds me of the Ice Bucket Challenge a few years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think that was designed to manipulate people, but still it was kind of unusual that people would pour a bucket of ice-cold water over their heads.
It was to raise money.
To raise money. That's a good cause, but I think maybe some people had heart attacks because of that cold water.
Wow.
I don't know. You think it would, but in any case, it's kind of similar. People accept a dare, and in this particular case, though, it's kind of immoral. People are given guns as their final challenge. You can only imagine what they're going to do with those guns.
Yeah, real guns. Through this narrative simply means a story someone tells, Ryan aims to provoke discussion among readers. She wants these young readers to talk about some of the themes of this novel itself. If you aim to do something, that's your goal. So that's her primary goal. Now, the main theme of Nerve, what is it? Is the influence of peer pressure. Oh, peer pressure you hear about a lot, especially in high school, junior high. College, it tends to start ebbing, which means it starts decreasing a lot. When you get into college, especially towards the end of your college years, you're more independent. You don't care what your friends think as much as you did when you were in junior high and high school. Peer pressure was everything. Your friends could get you to make choices that you wouldn't normally do, or that if you had time to really think about it and you knew your parents wouldn't be happy about it, you wouldn't do. But peer pressure, your peer are people that you hang out with. They're your age. Maybe they have a similar position in life. And the pressure they put on you is to influence you to do something that perhaps you wouldn't normally do. So this is one of the big themes of this particular novel, Nerve. And also, Jeannie spends quite a bit of time talking about the consequences, the results of our choices. Every choice we make in this life has a consequence. It can be good, it can be bad. So you need to think about the consequences before you make your choices.
Okay, that brings us to the midway point in our lesson for today. Let's listen now to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我们昨天带大家看 Nerve 这个小说，那我们今天就来评析一下。我们首先看一下 Nerve 它的作者是谁呀？在第一段第一句，原来是 Jenny Ryan。当然它是一个青少年小说了哈 ，Young Adult Novel。那这个 Nerve 呢，其实让我们觉得看起来很刺激，因为它谈了一个线上真人秀的游戏，好像这个我们在现实当中也有一些真人实境的节目，对不对？不过第一段当中我们可能要注意一下关系子句。第一个出现在第一句哦，先行词就是我们刚刚说的 an online reality game， 后面的 where 到句尾可以左右括号起来。在这个线上真人秀的游戏世界当中 where 在游戏当中 players 玩家就会为了这个 fame and prizes 他们就冒险。那第二个关系子句就出现在第二句咯，先行词是 reality TV shows， 后面会取到句尾一样左右括号起来。那第二句谈到这个呢，是因为 Ryan 其实他是因为看了这个电视的实境节目，他才有这个 inspiration， 才会有灵感。可是第三句也很重要哦，它是分词构句，你可以在分词构句前面写一个 be because， 因为他对于大家如果想要 追求名利的这种影响到底有什么样子的一个 effect， 他是非常非常着迷的，所以 Jenny Ryan 才创造出了这个故事。同样第三句逗点之后也有限定用法关系子句，先行词是 a story， 他就创造了这么一个故事。 that 到句尾可以左右挂号起来，就是我们的限定用法关系子句。那当然到了最后面第四句的时候，透过这样的故事，其实 Brian 是希望我们大家可以探讨这些议题。不过逗点前面的这个字可以抓出来哦，我们说这个 fiction， 这个 novel， 这个故事 story， 在英文当中说的记叙文就是逗点前面这个 narrative。 不过来到第二段，当然就会探讨一下这个小说啊，会不会有一些主题要探讨呢？有，其实它的主题有3个。在第一句当中提到2个主题，第一个就是 the influence of peer pressure， 同侪压力对我们的影响。第二个主题是 consequences of our choices， 我们的选择会带来什么结果。还有第3个主题是出现在第3段的第一句哦， the dark side of technology and social media， 科技啊，还有这个社群媒体带来的阴暗面。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about Nerve. It's our game of dares and danger. It was written by author Jeannie Ryan in 2012, and it's really quite topical, meaning it's something that is related to today's life and world. It talks about how this online game, which also involves live streaming, spectators, people voting on things, and paying a lot of money to participate, we see these things today, even today. I've seen a lot of young people who live stream challenges and dares and sometimes get themselves into real trouble. In several instances, in the past couple of years, we've had some young adults actually die participating in very dangerous activities. So be very careful. Don't get involved with things that can hurt you.
Right. And again, the main theme is about peer pressure and the consequences of our choices. Speaking of peer pressure, that reminds me of the Stanford prison experiment. Maybe you heard of that.
Sure.
Where students played roles. Some of them were guards. Some of them were prisoners. It was supposed to be an experiment, but eventually the guards were being really, really cruel with the prisoners, and they had to stop the experiment. It just goes to show that people in certain positions can abuse their power, and maybe that's what this is all about.
Yep.
And V, the protagonist, the main character in the story, the one that carries all the action, initially takes on challenges to gain peer approval and pushes herself beyond her comfort zone. So again, this is what happens at the beginning. She takes on these challenges because she's shy. Maybe she wants to come out of her closet a little bit, or wants to be less shy or whatever. So she accepts those challenges, and she does this to gain peer approval, to get her friends to like her, to think she's cool and not just some nerd or something who just works on plays behind the scenes and is real shy and kind of weird. And yes, she pushes herself beyond her comfort zone, which means she accepts some challenges. She doesn't just play it safe.
Right. I wanted to mention briefly that the protagonist, of course, is the main character that you watch in a drama. It could be a movie. It could be a TV show. Here, of course, it's an online game. The opposite of that is the antagonist. The protagonist and the antagonist. Someone asked me one time, can a villain be a protagonist? Because usually the antagonist is someone who is opposing that protagonist, getting in the way of that protagonist achieving her or his goals. Yes, the villain can be the protagonist. For example, that superhero movie, Thanos, he's a bad guy. He's a really bad guy. He is a villain, and yet he's the protagonist.
Right.
So it's usually just the main leading character. It could be a novel, movie, a drama being on stage. So yeah, she's the protagonist, and she really wants to stand out. That's her quest, her her journey or quest is some sort of, it's more of a long journey you go on to try to find something, discover something, your quest. You're searching for something, most definitely. She wants to stand out. She wants to get the spotlight, and that compels her or pushes her to accept risks she would otherwise have avoided. Yeah. You can have that helper verb, the modification there, have otherwise or otherwise have avoided. You can use that in either order. Otherwise here means differently or in another way. So if she'd been in a different position, she would have avoided it. She would have otherwise, or in another circumstance, she would have avoided that completely. But she does and takes on these challenges because she really wants to stand out. She wants people to notice her.
Right. This does happen sometimes with all that peer pressure and everybody's on the internet and posting stuff on Facebook and Instagram. We want to be like them. We want to be popular too. So this compels her to accept those risks that she otherwise would have avoided. She wouldn't have normally accepted those challenges. As the game progresses, as it continues forward, V's motivation shifts toward the rewards offered. Okay, So remember, she initially did this to get attention from her classmates or whatever. But as the game continues, her motivation kind of changes. Okay, her motivation is her desire to do something, the thing that causes her to do something, and it changes or it shifts. Okay, so it's not so much about her wanting to have acceptance from her peers. Now it's about getting those rewards because you can get prizes or money if you complete certain challenges.
Yeah. So motivation, the reason why you do things, and rewards can be monetary, which means money or financial, or maybe a reward you get for maybe returning a lost item you find. Maybe you get a reward for that. And the reward might just be feeling good about yourself for doing the right thing. But her motivation shifts or changes. And now she's really more concerned with money than just kind of becoming less shy and standing up for herself, being independent. She's even willing to sacrifice her moral values and safety for the sake of social recognition and popularity. For those likes. This is bad. If you sacrifice something, it means you're willing to give up something because it leads to something that you value even more. So what is she sacrificing? Her moral values, what she considers to be the right thing to do. She's saying, I'll give that up because I'm more concerned for being popular. I want people to know who I am. This makes me sad.
Right, so it warns readers against the extreme pursuit of fame and questions the worth of such sacrifices. Is it worth it to go through all these things just to be popular, just to get the rewards? Or should you just be happy with who you are, despite all the peer pressure from the internet, etc.? Now, here in the next paragraph, it says, Nerve also explores the dark side of technology and social media. So even 12 years ago, this was a concern. Everybody is addicted to technology these days. No one can deny that. And, of course, lots of people are addicted to social media, which, of course, is where you make those posts to brag about what you've done and to be outdone by others. So, yes, we have technology and social media. And a lot of people think it's great. We can communicate with people, but there is a dark side. And as you know, lots of people feel bad about themselves because of their standing in social media.
So as V faces challenges through the app, she realizes that the prizes are tailored to her preferences, revealed through her social media posts. Aha! So we know that anything we post online is being tracked and used by corporations and governments both. So this is something that the novel is pointing out. Everything that you say, that you look at, that you look up, all of these things are being carefully noted by corporations and also governments, and you no longer have any privacy if you're online. Posting anything or looking at anything, even what you look at is noted. So moreover, it says, even more than that, the constant presence of spectators throughout the challenges highlights the loss of privacy. What's privacy? The ability to keep personal things private and secret from the public, from even other people around you. Privacy is completely lost once we're online.
Right. Some people like to have their own apartments and live by themselves because they like privacy. They don't like to be around lots of other people who are meddling in their affairs. I think a lot of people in Sweden, for example, live in their own apartments because they like that privacy. And Ryan's narrative serves as a warning about the risks inherent in the digital age. So if something's inherent, it's a part of something, and it's usually something that you can't get rid of. If you get rid of it, then you don't have the original thing. So if we're living in the digital age, you're just going to have these things. Like, as you said, if you're online, you are going to be observed. There's no way to get around that. It's inherent, it's part of it, and it's permanent. And we do have these risks that are part of the digital age, which is talking about the period of history we are in now, where we all have devices, we're all online to some degree, and we're being tracked, or at least information is being registered somewhere. And yes, all of these risks are part of being on the internet. We can't get away from it.
Now, through these themes, Nerve offers a thought-provoking look at modern society. If it's thought-provoking, it makes you think more deeply about things, makes you question what's going on in life. So it also urges readers to ponder whether true courage is shown by daring acts or by resisting wrongdoing under the gaze of a global audience. If you urge someone to do something, you strongly are trying to influence them to do something. Maybe you're trying to persuade them. Maybe you know something they don't. Maybe you're recommending something very strongly. I urge you to listen to me. So this urges readers, the people who pick up this novel, to really think about what true courage actually is. I think that's a great question.
Right. The ultimate act of courage would be to totally get yourself off the internet and not use your device and not go on the internet and don't use your PC. But I don't think anybody would dare to do that unless they were religious or something.
Well, no, it's hard to live in this world without having some access to the internet, at least.
Yeah, it would be hard to do, but yes, indeed, you need to consider courage. And yes, is courage shown by daring acts or by resisting wrongdoing to be a good person? And yes, this is under the gaze of a global audience. So yes, we're all being watched by everybody online. And so, yes, indeed, we have to sort of ask these questions ourselves. And yes, this would be a good book to read if you're concerned about this issue. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
当然，接着我们就要来看一下这三个主题咯。首先到第二段的第二句的地方，那 V 呢，最初他接受挑战是因为 peer pressure， 他想要获得同侪的认同。这个第二句当中的 peer approval 也可以特别抓出来，我们都会希望得到同侪的认同啊，朋友的认同啊，肯定啊，鼓励啊之类的，所以呢，就把它逼出舒适圈了。这舒适圈也可以把它抓出来，同样在第二段的第二句最后面的 comfort zone。那接下来我们就看到这样子的一个 quest， 在第三句当中，这种追求啊，就迫使他接受本来可以避免的一些风险，而且游戏啊进展之后呢，居然后来他就觉得他的 focus 并不是要跳脱舒适圈了，转变成为想要去追求那一些得到的奖励。所以其实在这一段当中，同样第二句我们可以把 initially 一开始最初这个副词抓出来，拉一个箭头到第四句的动词 shifts， 就是因为一开始本来如何如何，结果但是后来还是转变了它的方向，所以这个 initially 就暗示着你故事会有转折哦。最后面我们就看到啦，到了故事后面，他既然愿意牺牲自己的道德观念啊，甚至还有安全，只为了一些社会认可跟人气，所以故事的这个情节其实是警告我们某一些事情。第二段最后一句第六句的警告特别注意一下，它会跟着 against 这个介系词， against 指的是抵抗不要的意思，所以警告大家不要去做哪些事情哦， warn someone against something。到了第三段我们就探讨到第三个主题啦， 第3个主题是说呢，有关于科技跟社群媒体的这个阴暗面啊，这个 dark side 到底是什么东西？比如说，像在故事当中 V 发现他想要的东西其实早就是为他量身打造的。什么时候会量身打造呢？就是我们古早的时候要做衣服的时候，裁缝师不是会为我们量身打造做衣服吗？所以其实量身打造这个动词是 tailor。 第3段第2句逗点之后 tailor 这个动词可以抓出来，它就有量身打造的意思，本来是裁缝师。不过这个 tailor 后面有带一个简化的关系子句哦，先行词是 her preferences， 她的偏好。这个偏好怎样啊？ reveal 的到句尾，省略的是汇聚或 that 跟 be 动词 are。原来她的社群媒体 post 那些贴文当中啊，大家早就看到了她喜欢什么，很爱什么，想要买什么东西都已经知道了，所以替她量身打造她的奖励品。不过后面呢，我们还有看到在整个的挑战当中啊，全程观看的这个观众的持续，其实也凸显出了另外一件事情，大家都在看，那你的 privacy 隐私到哪里去了？所以第3段的 privacy 其实也是故事当中很重要的一个主题之一。不过第3段最后面第4句的地方啊，我们还是把这个限定用法关系子句简化抓出来。当然这整个故事啊都是一个警告，就是有关于在数位时代当中根深蒂固的这一些风险。 The risks 先行词，后面省略的是 which 或者是 that 跟 be 动词 are， 所以 inherent 左括号右括号在句尾的地方。所以透过这些主题 Nerve 其实是很值得一读的，或许大家有时间也可以读完之后再进行讨论哦。以上是我今天的内容，我是安娜，我们下次见。
Okay, that's all for today, everybody. Hopefully, we have encouraged you to check out this novel. And yes, indeed, think about what's happening online and how it's affecting your life. You might learn a thing or two from this novel and improve your English reading ability at the same time. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.